So at Canadian Food Innovation Network, we take pride in building the fastest growing network of food entrepreneurs all across Canada. We fund innovative food tech businesses, and we provide an ecosystem that allows them to collaborate and innovate at a larger scale. And now I would let my team talk about all the different beautiful businesses that we have funded. Right? Who's going next? Julie.
I think actually it goes right over to you, Julie.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah, does it work? Great. Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. I'll try to not speak too loud. My first company, we have many, so it'll be a speedy presentation. From Montreal, the first company is DeepSight, augmented reality. Well, they have aligned their value proposition on current labor market intelligence. So do you know that by 2030, around 69,000 workers, that is 22% of our industry workforce will be expected to retire. So in only 6 years, we will need 142,000 new people will be required in order to support the growth of Canadian companies. That's a lot, but that's where DeepSight augmented reality comes to the rescue. So they have developed tools that enables company to create work instruction in augmented reality to transfer knowledge to the workforce. So how they do that? Let me get their device here. So Tyson, would you like to put it on? There you go. He didn't know.
This
Well,
is the last panel I'm on with.
well, they use this head-mounted display on workers' head while they're working, and you can actually walk with this on. So DeepSight, thank you, Tyson, will capture whatever the workers are doing and convert it into steps instructions in 3D holographics. So now you get knowledge that becomes corporate intelligence. So for instance, companies with multiple production sites are able to rely on the same version of the procedures to thank you, Tyson, to execute certain tasks. So at the moment, with the CFIN funding program, DeepSight team is now working on integrating voice recognition to allow the industrial workers to speak while working. So they'll use AI. Videos will be pre-assembled in SOP and segmented and ready to be deployed on the factory floor. So it's very systematic knowledge transfer without any interference of cultural or language point of view. And I think it's really awesome. And we have the privilege today to have Jean Pinsonneau. Here he is. He's in the DeepSight augmented reality team. And after a session, it'll be a pleasure for him to answer all your questions. There you go.
Awesome. Okay. Great. Oh, Julie, next time we're on a panel together, I'm going to figure something out.
I know.
So I'm going to build off a little bit from, actually, Joanne mentioned, in terms of the whole plant-based area and in terms of alternative proteins. And I want to talk a little bit about a company that's from my region, based out of Halifax, that is, certainly we know that's an emerging space. We know there's a lot of change in it, and that it's going to continue to probably evolve and grow and change over the next little bit of time. I'm thinking this could be a company that's worthy of being on the radar because maybe it could be here in a couple of years where you're going to be able to try that product. And the company's called Pro Fillet, and they are on a mission to develop a plant-based whitefish fillet analog that's going to mirror the texture, the taste, and the nutritional composition of catfish. And then they're going to be able to expand that beyond that afterwards. Now, certainly there's lots of other companies in this space. One of the reasons that CFIN decided to fund it is because they're really taking an innovative approach. There as well, I mean, as a proud Canadian, always love to see some projects that are competing on the world stage. And if you look at the X Prize for Feed the Next Billion Challenge, which is a $15 million challenge, 6 companies around the world, and Pro Fillet is the only one from North America representing. So that's always cool. So a shout out to them. I'm also, just from my past experience in product development, I always love to see when a team comes together that has a lot of different backgrounds. So anyone that's just looking at being in startup phase right now, maybe looking at your product development, they've assembled a team that includes expertise in nutrition, expertise in food science, in bioprocessing, in culinary. They have a chef on their team, business. So you really need that cross-section to be able to come up with that innovative idea that's going to be able to achieve what you need. Because at the end of the day, we know beyond all the other components, you need to have great taste for the product to be successful. And one of the other things that I thought was cool about them is that it is a collaboration. There's partners, key nutritional ingredient partners in their system that come from different parts of the country. So as CFIN, it's always good to see different companies collaborating together to compete on the world stage. Dana?
So, as you can see, yeah, I don't know. Is mine not? I don't get one that works. Okay, I'll use yours. As you can see, CFIN is there to help a lot of the folks who will take products to consumers, the ones that Joanne highlighted, to help them have the capacity to make valid claims and do really cool, interesting stuff. One of the companies that we have funded most recently is called Crush Dynamics, which you have not likely heard of, but you have heard of their partner, Purdy's Chocolates, a Canadian iconic chocolate company. And Purdy's, of course, wants to get in on this GLP, Ozempic, help people to accomplish their fitness and nutrition goals trend. And by working with Crush Dynamics, they think that they are on the right path. So what Crush does is they go and work with anyone who's creating wine of any kind, alcoholic or otherwise. They take the leftovers, so they upcycle the grape must and the other byproducts of winemaking, and they extract volatile chemicals and components, and they are manipulating them so that they can create, wait for it, something that's clean label that you can use in your formulations to reduce the use of sugar and salt, two of the number one issues that the aging population faces as they start to try and control their health and their weight. So we're very, very excited about this because not only does Canada get to lead the way on creating amazing new functional healthy ingredients, it helps two of our industries, an amazing legacy chocolate maker and the entire wine industry as well. So that's an example of what needs to happen in order for people to be able to do the great work that we see on the floor downstairs. Back to you.
Yeah, back to me.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Okay, next company. If you're a food manufacturer and the next company can help you save a lot of trouble and lots of money because they're reducing the risk of costly recalls. So this company is Index Biosystems. They're from Toronto, Ontario.
Is David in the room?
Yes, David's in the room. There he is. So they're transforming invisible risk into actionable intelligence through their biotags technology. So it's made from Baker's yeast, and they have designed microscopic barcodes that can be applied to your product and connect directly any data to their biotags. And what's cool about it is they're detectable at any point in the supply chain. So these biotags combined with AI are used on their predictive analytics platform to analyze data and identify patterns and predict potential risks before they happen. So this ensures that your production flow remains uninterrupted while maintaining the highest standard of safety, right? And David, there he is over there. He's the co-founder of Index Biosystems, so please come and meet him after our session.
And I'll just give them a little plug. They have a white paper out. They did an amazing project, proof of concept, product market fit concept study with Ardent Mills. And you can download that and read it now and get all the technical stuff. It's really super cool DNA kind of science. So yeah, it's pour yourself a cup of coffee and read their white paper.
And you have to understand the companies we're presenting to you today, they're Canadian food tech superstars. So they're here with us. So meet them. They're eager to meet you too.
Is it me or you? Yep. I think it's over to you, Tyson. Aren't you going to talk about dispense and industry?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Dispension, dispension is one of the things. I've worked in the food industry for 20 years or so, and it quite often was more with traditional processors, which I'd loved, and startups, and watching helping companies grow. What I really like in terms of being at CFIN is getting to meet some of these companies, like Julie mentioned, that are just doing some amazing work that's really outside of the box. And Dispension is another example of that. They have developed a self-serve kiosk, and it's targeted at canned beer and RTDs. So you can imagine this isn't your regular Coke vending machine, that we see out there. This has to overcome a lot of hurdles from a technology perspective to get to market. They have had it tested at the All-Star Game, I think maybe it was in LA a couple of years ago, as they developed through a couple of the first hurdles, and they continue to evolve, and CFIN's helping them out with hopefully what is the last piece before they can get to market. The first thing they had to figure out, of course, is the technology around age verification. Right? You can't just have my 17-year-old daughter going up and helping herself. So that was the first part around ID verification, and they were able to solve that. Then the second piece, which was one I hadn't thought of until they mentioned it, and then I said, of course, in most jurisdictions, restaurants, you have to open the product before you can serve it. So that's not a big deal when you're at a restaurant. It is a big deal when it's coming out of a kiosk and a vending machine and has to somehow be opened and not spilled before it comes to you. So that took quite a bit of effort on their part to unlock and figure out the technology around doing that, and they've successfully done that. And the third piece, what they're looking at now, is the worry of over-serving in terms of intoxication. And that's the project that we're helping them out with at CFIN, of trying to get through that hurdle. So in this case, what they're doing, and way above my head, but doing thermal imaging of the face to be able to do facial recognition and be able to link that with intoxication levels. So, perhaps in the future, next year I'm watching the Leafs in the playoffs, and whether things are going well or going poorly, I might need a drink. And by the end of the game, I might need one too many drinks since I'm a Leaf fan. And maybe at that point, it's time for enough is enough for me. So I'd be sent home. But I think that's super cool in terms of that. It's a great example of something that will obviously help out with the labor challenge you mentioned too. You think of sporting events, concerts. Labor is a challenge everywhere. In that kind of ad hoc environment where you're looking at getting labor on once in a while, it's even harder. So being able to have these kind of kiosks set up in the future is something that, when you see it a few years from now, you'll be able to say, hey, I heard that at a Seattle show a couple of years ago. So, and it's a Canadian company doing great work. So that's the next company that I thought was pretty cool, and looking forward to seeing them get to market.
So the next innovator we'd love for you to know about is tackling labor shortage, food safety, food quality, and consumer satisfaction. We have an amazing member called Gastronomists. We funded them as in one of our very first food innovation challenges. So CFIN, we create this network where all of these companies come and work and talk and share ideas. And as you know, when there's a density of ideas, there's good concepts evolve. So Gastronomist works with Recipe, who owns Harvey's, and they have created something called the Chrono Grill, which sounds like it tells time. It doesn't, but it is circular. And the Chrono Grill has revolutionized how burgers are made in Harvey's locations. Instead of someone having to keep track of which patty went on at which time and to probe with a handheld thermometer, the Chrono Grill recognizes the type of patty, whether it's chicken, beef, veggie. It will cook it for the exact amount of time, and it will ensure that every single patty is probed. Interestingly enough, they discovered from watching people work in Harvey's before the project started that most patties were cooked for about 9 minutes because people got busy. They were fearful that they weren't cooking them all the way through. So needless to say, quality, succulence, went way, way down and shrank. So people were getting smaller burgers as well. After moving to using the Chrono Grill, the average patty takes 4.5 minutes. So you're getting people through the drive-through faster. You're freeing somebody who had to, singe their eyebrows every day over a grill up to have a much more pleasant job and be more productive, do more customer service. And one of their reports, we ask when we fund people that they give us a quarterly report, and it's mostly numbers. And but they sent us this little snippet, and it was a Yelp review. Somebody who had been to the test location said, "I don't know what they're doing at this Harvey's, but it's the best damn burger in Canada." And so we were pretty excited about that. And not only is this an amazing food service innovation, but this type of technology, when it's put into meal kit companies and the kinds of businesses who make frozen meals, etc., there's a lot of cooking that goes on in those locations. And we know that there's going to be a real transferable effect for not just food service companies, but packaged foods companies and meal companies and delivery services and all that kind of thing as well.
Okay, is it the last one? Maybe. Okay. The last but not least, do you know this list? It's called Food Tech 500. If you don't, is each year they publish a list of the hottest agri-food tech companies worldwide. This year, 1,500 startups applied, and among the list that made the cut, the companies, Relocalize was on this list. So Relocalize made the list for the second year in a row. This company is from Montreal. And what's really cool about this company is they launched the world's first autonomous micro factory for food. Their mission? To eliminate the chain in the supply. Decarbonize our food supply chain by being hyper-local. So in only the past year, they have received multiple awards, like the prestigious Best Climate Change Innovation Award at the CONEX Award Ceremony in London, England. So what they do, I could tell you, but I prefer the CEO and co-founder, Wayne McIntyre.
The first product we make is packaged ice, of all things. And packaged ice is usually made in a big factory. So for the entire province of Quebec, there's one. And all the packaged ice that's made there is delivered to the stores and distribution centers around Quebec from that one location. We had built our first prototype. It was in Cambridge, Ontario. And we really wanted to go to the next level, which is put that prototype into a real world environment. CFIN supported us financially for that project, and it's made all the difference. Now it's real, and now we're operating the very first autonomous microfactory for the food industry in the whole world. People talk a lot about local food. Food miles is a big part of that. Is how many miles does food travel on a truck? So when you go local, you're reducing those food miles and you're reducing the carbon. And we take it one step further. We call it hyper-local. We're not just close, we are actually co-locating production with distribution or fulfillment. It's a one-step journey for food. So food is made and food goes to the customer or to the store from the same spot.
We aren't going to be able to harvest grain on a micro scale. That doesn't work. That's where the traditional farming methods, as optimally executed as possible, are still going to prevail.
We can't make every food product. You know, we're going to start with ice and we'll be moving beyond that at some stage. But this is such a big problem. What we really hope to do is catalyze a movement.
To make a really big impact in the world and for our climate, being able to remove 70, 80, 90% of the carbon footprint by eliminating middle mile logistics, that's exciting. That's a game changer.
Pretty cool, right? And they're from Montreal. What I'd like to announce, because that was announced today, they just complete a seed round of funding of 5.8 million. Yeah.
They're right here.
Yeah. Graham Campbell is here, the CEO of Relocalize. We're very proud of you guys. And the seed funding was supposed to be, well, actually they got 1 million more than what they were expecting. So good job.
This is all so fascinating. I'm new to CFIN, so I'm hearing about all this for the first time. I hope you are finding it as fascinating as I am, since I'm new to it. I would like to ask Dana a last question, conclusion remarks. We are doing the right thing, right?
Sure.
How do you see the network that we are building with CFIN and with Yodel? Or if you have any examples to share about how it's bringing together food tech, food, and other businesses to create even, facilitate innovation across industries?
Well, it's a great question, because when you say that we're the Canadian Food Innovation Network, it sounds like you understand all four of those words together, but what does it really mean? So we're a network first. It is super important to us that we bring a fragmented industry and people who have great ideas, people who have really important problems together so that they can connect and help one another. We're industry-led, so we listen to the industry. Our board, our Innovation Advisory Council, they help us to understand what the industry needs. Likewise, everybody on this panel has been working in the food industry for, well, for me, decades. Not everybody else is as old as I am. So we really are trying to help every food and beverage business in the country reach their full potential. Sometimes we have funding for it, and we told you about some of the companies we have funded. But just as important is what Tyson and Julie do on a daily basis, which is talk to members, listen to members, and problem solve on a national basis. So, for instance, when I told you about Gastronomist, they needed a partner to do their project, and we made sure that Recipe was there to work with them. And today on the floor, we're talking to members who are out there and finding out what stage they're at and helping them to connect. We have a really cool company that's down in the startup zone who will be pitching tomorrow, who Richa and I are like brainstorming about how to get them into a grocery chain to grow their business and prove how their product works. So I do hope that if you found what we talked about today interesting and you think that you want to keep up to date with what's happening in that B2B side of food innovation, that you'll consider becoming a member. It's free. We're a national not-for-profit. We are here to do one job, and that is create economic development for an already amazing $35 billion food sector in Canada. And if we have it our way, it'll be a $70 billion food sector.
Yeah, and if we didn't mention it earlier, it's free to join. Scan that, join it. Help Canadian food industry become more innovative. Thank you.